is Molly. Welcome to Purpose, where we are going through the Bible, reading the stories, and then seeing how they affect us. What do these stories have to do with us in our life? And I'll tell you what it has to do with us. The only reason we're on this planet, our whole purpose for being here, is to love God and love each other. That's it. Everything else should come off of those two things. Sounds pretty easy, right? Not for me. Hardest thing ever. It's so easy to get caught up in our day and in our lives and in our problems and to completely forget about God. And, a lot of people tick us off. It's really hard to love other people. And that's my whole purpose for being here. Oh, I'm in trouble. And God knew it was going to be tough, so he sent us the Bible. The Bible's our directions. It's our guide for how to live our lives and how to love God and love each other. So I figure if you believe in God, most people believe in God, we probably ought to read his directions. I don't think most people read his directions. I think most people in the world believe in God. There's a lot of Christians in the world, so a lot of people believe in Jesus too. They believe in God. They believe in Jesus. They believe in the Holy Spirit. That's where it stops. They don't do anything to get to know them better, to get closer with them, to love them more. I don't know, maybe they feel like earth is just a big waiting room. And when you die, you'll go to heaven. And that's when you'll get to know God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit. And I don't think that's right. I don't think earth is a big waiting room until we die. I think we're supposed to get to know him now. And I think if enough people on this planet could tip the balance so more people are working at getting to know God, I think we could have heaven right here on earth. I think we'd be living in bliss right here on earth if the majority of people living on this planet could be working every day to know and love God more and more and work every day to know and love each other. And that's not easy. So that's why we're reading these stories. We left off with Genesis chapter 38. So, Jacob's boys, those kids, they're men now, full-grown men. They took their youngest brother Joseph, threw him in a pit. They wanted to kill him because they were jealous of him, that their dad loved him more. And then Reuben, the oldest brother, said, no, let's not kill him. Let's just throw him down in the pit. And then he planned to go back later that night to rescue him. But before he could get back there, Judah said, let's sell him. Let's make a few bucks off this. So they sold their youngest brother to the slave traders. And he's in Egypt now. And he was sold to the captain of Pharaoh's guard, Potiphar. We'll find out what happened to Joseph next time. But for right now, we're going to look at Judah a little bit. So we know, if you've read the Bible, you know that Jesus comes from the tribe of Judah. There's 12 tribes of Israel. They're the 12 sons that Israel had, or Jacob and Israel, same person. And Jesus came from Judah's line. Here's Judah, a great bazillion great grandparent of Jesus himself, and he's wanting to sell his brother into slavery. So, people from the beginning of time have been messing up. So Judah, it says, went down from his brothers. He's leaving the brothers. He's not hanging out with the family anymore. Let's see if he's hanging out with God. And he saw a daughter of a certain Canaanite whose name was Shua. And he fell in love with her. And he married her. He married a Canaanite. They're supposed to marry people who believe in God. They're supposed to marry Israelites. He didn't. He left the faith. He left God. And he married Shua. Ooh. They had 3 sons. The oldest one was and then there was Onan, and then there was Shelah. Well, got married to this woman named Tamar, and he was a bad guy. He was not living life the way he was supposed to. He's a full-grown man now. So, Judah's pretty old. He's old enough to have kids getting married. And this kid, is pretty bad, and God kills him. I don't know if God actually killed him or he let him die. Says God slew him, so he's gone. He's dead. Well, if you're a woman and your husband dies, you can't go out and get a job. You can't take care of yourself. She had no kids. You need a son to help you get the inheritance. She had nothing. So Judah told his next son, Onan, yeah, go marry your brother's wife, have babies with her, give her a son, so she'll have some inheritance and she'll be taken care of. It's what they were supposed to do. God didn't want these women to just be forgotten about and die of starvation. He wanted family to take care of them, because family is important, whether you marry into it or your blood. Family's important, and you take care of each other. So Onan went to her. He didn't want to have any kids with her. He married her, but he didn't want to have kids because he knew those kids were going to be raised as his dead son Er's kids, that they would get Er's inheritance. It's a weird thing, this inheritance, but he knew that they would be considered money-wise, when it comes down to money and family inheritance, his older brother's kids, and he didn't want that. So he slept with Tamar, but he didn't finish the act. He kind of stopped before he finished the act. And so he didn't have any kids, and God didn't like that. He's not taken care of Tamar. He's not taken care of his sister-in-law. He's not giving her sons. So he killed Onan too. Now we're down to just one more son for Judah, Shelah. He's just a kid. So Judah goes to Tamar and he tells her, all right, go back to your dad's house. Have your dad take care of you. And when my youngest son, Shelah, is an adult, old enough to get married, you can marry him. So that's what happened. She went back. She lived with her dad. Shelah grew up. Years are going by. She knew he was a full-grown man now, able to get married. No word. Judah didn't send for her. Judah's not fulfilling his promise. He lied to her. And Tamar has no way to take care of herself, no way to provide for herself. So she tricked him. She dressed up like a prostitute, covered her face so Judah wouldn't know who she was. And she kind of sashayed around in front of Judah. Oh, I forgot to tell you, Judah's wife, Shua, died. And he was sad and he was lonely, so he went up to hang out with the sheep shearers or herders or something. Sheep shearers. So it's sheep shearing time. He went up to hang out with the guys. And he sees this prostitute kind of sashaying by him. He's lonely. His wife died. So he's like, oh, hey, come over here, baby. Maybe prostitutes hung out around the sheep shears. I don't really know all of this. But he said, hey, come over here, baby. I'll be with you. And she went over to him and he said, hey, you want to get together? And she said, what'll you give me? And he said, I'll give you a kid goat. And she said, yeah, right. You'll be out of here. How do I know you'll give me that goat? What's your pledge to me? She wants him to give her something. So he said, look, I'll give you my signet ring, my staff, and my cord. Now those things showed who you were. You were known. Kind of like people know each other by the car they drive. They recognize your car or they recognize your house. We have a last name. We're recognized by that last name. In these days, you had your signet ring, your cord, your staff. Those things said who you were. I am Judah, son of Jacob. So he said, I'll give you this stuff. And she was like, all righty. She took his stuff and left. Well, he sent his friend with a kid goat to give to her so he could get his stuff back. He wanted to pay her because they got together. So his friend went up, couldn't find her anywhere. Asked all the men of the area, hey, where's that prostitute that was here the other day? And they're like, there was no prostitute. I don't know what you're talking about. He couldn't find her anywhere. So he had to go back to Judah with the goat and say, look, I can't find her anywhere. And Judah's like, oh man, everybody's going to laugh at me over this. We won't say a word to anybody. She can keep the ring and the cord and the staff, and I'll just keep my goat. Well, not much time went by. I think it was 3 months go by. And word gets out to Judah that his daughter-in-law Tamar is pregnant. She's been with a man, that hussy. Can you believe that? She's sleeping around. She was married to my sons, and now she's acting like a prostitute, going out there sleeping with people. He said, she will burn for this. Bring her here. He's going to have her killed. So they're hauling her out, and I'm sure they weren't real gentle about it. Hauling her to him, and she's got the ring and the cord and the staff. And she said, the husband of my unborn child is the man that owns this stuff. Judah sees it. That was the prostitute he was with. Wasn't a prostitute. It was his daughter-in-law. He knew that she trapped him in his own lie, that he told her he'd take care of her. He had no intention of taking care of her, so she took matters into her own hands to make sure he took care of her. He knew he did wrong. He even said she was more righteous than he was. Judah, I think, is coming to his senses. He's starting to realize, I am messing up here. Maybe he's even realizing, I'm getting away from God. Tamar ended up having twins. She had Perez and Zerah. I don't ever really hear anything that ever happened to them later on. But I think Judah starting to have those wheels turning, and he's starting to think, maybe I better get back to God. He could have said, kill her. He could have. Instead, he fessed up to it. He owned up to it. He took care of her. He took care of the boys. And he did his responsibility, but he didn't have to. He could have killed them all, but he knew that was the wrong thing to do. God asked him to take care of her. He was going to take care of her. And I think that's the point of this story. 2 points. Number 1, take care of family. You got to take care of your family. You have to love them and pray for them and try to lead them to God the best you can, not by being preachy, but by showing them how God is helping you in your life and praying all the time for them. We've got to help our own family. The world's never going to get to be a better place if we don't start at home. Take care of ourselves and those around us. Make sure that we're getting closer to God. That's number 1. Number 2, got to own up to what we do wrong and get back to God. Maybe not you, I mess up a bazillion times every single day. I will gossip. I will start talking bad about somebody, especially in the news. I'll start talking bad about a political party. I'll start getting jealous. I'll be getting angry at people, whatever. I have to keep noticing when I get off track and go back and tell God, I am so sorry I've done it again, God. Touch my heart. This is too hard for me, God. Show me how to love you and love other people. And he'll do it. We don't have to do it on our own. All we have to do is notice when we get off track and ask God to get us back on track. You know the difference between Peter, as in the Apostle Peter, as in the first pope of the church, Peter? You know the difference between Peter and Judas Iscariot? Judas, the one that betrayed Jesus, sold him for some silver pieces, had him captured by the Jewish people and killed. Peter denied even knowing Jesus 3 times so his skin would be saved. They both betrayed Jesus. Peter by denying even knowing him, Judas by selling him to the Pharisees. The only difference between those 2 people is Peter went back to Jesus, apologized, said, I love you, Jesus. I love you, Jesus. 3 times, I love you, Jesus. For each time he betrayed Jesus, he apologized for it. Judas didn't. Judas was overcome with his grief. Oh, I'm a terrible person. Jesus is going to hate me. Everybody's going to hate me. And he killed himself. You got to go back to Jesus. He'll never hate you. He wants you to come back to him every time we mess up. And that's what we have to do. I want to be more like Peter than Judas. I want to go down on Peter's side, not Judas's side. And that's what Judah is doing right here. He's saying, I messed up. I got to get back to God. Get me on the right track, God. And we find out later Judah does get on the right track, and Jesus is a descendant of his. So when you feel yourself getting mad, getting jealous, getting angry, getting whatever, getting off track, just ask God to touch your heart and bring you back. Ask him to teach you to love him and love other people, and he'll do it for you. That is the best way to get your family to get to Jesus, by getting yourself to Jesus. And if we can get ourselves to Jesus and we can get our family to Jesus, then that'll spread to the whole world. And then maybe someday this will be heaven right here on earth. Who knows? Well, I hope you have a great day today, and I'm going to pray for you. And I really do. I don't say this lightly. I will pray for you that if you get off track, Jesus touches your heart and shows you how to love him and love other people and get you right back on that track again. Have a great day today, everyone. Bye-bye.